Jodelle. Welcome to the Meat, Body, and Soul solo podcast. It's just me here today talking about something that's really important to me lately working with clients, which is nervous system regulation. So the nervous system is really the key to healing. Did you know that? Did you know it's not diet, it's not exercise, it's not getting, the right supplement in your system. It's actually regulating your nervous system. And a lot of people don't understand the benefit of honing in on the nervous system itself and how to do that. Is it as simple as take a deep breath every now and then? No, it's a lot more complicated than that. But it's also a process, and it's a process that can be done when you know what to do. Years ago in 2017, I suffered from toxic mold exposure. It threw my nervous system into a tailspin. Couple that with the fact that at a young age, I lost my parents, which also wrecked my nervous system. So basically, I've lived in fear for a long time, and many people do. Many people are stuck in the three different phases of where the nervous system can get stuck in, such as fight or flight. You've heard of that. Freeze, which is another one. People get frozen in their life and they feel stuck and they don't know how to move forward. And there's also exhaustion. That third phase of the adaptation system of our nervous system is exhaustion, where people can't even get out of bed. So this nervous system dysfunction is a real thing that can happen to virtually anyone, whether it's trauma related or whether it's simply something where you've had stress upon stress upon stress and have had a lot of hard time dialing that down. You've heard of the stress bucket. A lot of people talk about that, where, throughout our life, we start out as children, we don't have that many stressors, but as life goes on, we start to compile those stressors a little bit more and a little bit more, namely things like we graduate from high school or college, and now we have life stressors of taking care of our own life instead of what our parents do. And then we start a family, we have family stress, we start a career, we have career stress. On top of that, now we have so many other stressors never before seen in human history that are compiling that stress bucket to where it's overflowing. And that's when that nervous system dysregulates. And that's what we're going to address today, is the regulation of it. And, in the instant gratification nation that we live in, we want the quick fix. We want just let me talk to a nutritionist and have her tell me about a pill, a potion, a supplement, a diet, a therapist of some sort who can fix this really quickly. And this is usually the individual that's in an acute phase of the nervous system malfunctioning to where they have complete exhaustion, or they have immense stress that they can't get past, or their body's no longer responding, or maybe they developed autoimmune, or maybe they have gut issues that are just compiling and getting worse, and they don't know what to do because they've tried every diet, they've tried every supplement, and nothing's working. This is when we have to look at the nervous system. This is the key to healing. Like I said, you've tried all of the other things and nothing's working, but have you calmed your nervous system down? Have you regulated these rhythms, these processes in your body to get your body back into what's called homeostasis? Okay, that's what we're talking about today. There isn't, unfortunately, a pill, a potion, a quick fix, a supplement I can offer you that's just going to put you back in this great state of health. It is a process, and it's a process of consistency. And so the things I'm going to be discussing with you today are actually things that you can do, you can start to become consistent with, that will, over time, you have to have a little patience here, start to help you get that nervous system under control and get it regulated. So I wanted to bring this to light during this 21-day breathwork challenge that I've been hosting here on YouTube and on other podcasts, because breathwork is going to be a really great place to start when it comes to regulating your nervous system. People underestimate the power of breath work and a daily consistent practice of breath work. And let me give you an illustration of this just so you understand. So in nature, this is a really cool fact, that in nature, animals give themselves medicine, and they also do preventative medicine. For example, there are certain animals that will go in and find anti-parasitic leaves, and when they make their bed or their nest or whatever it is, they put those anti-parasitic leaves in that nest so that it helps to reduce the amount of parasites they might come into contact with, therefore reducing their risk of getting sick. Animals know this. Guess what? We're kind of animals. Humans are a type of animal. So we also need to focus on what can we do to prevent things from getting worse? What systems can we put in place? What processes of regulation can we put together that will help us prevent our nervous system from going to that stage of exhaustion or from staying stuck in fight or flight or in freeze? Okay, so part of what we're talking about today are things that you can do to also prevent nervous system malfunction. But more importantly, most people who are watching this are in some sort of chronic phase of stress that they need to reverse out of. Okay, we need to give the body the proper conditions to turn over a healing mechanism in the nervous system. And that's what I have in store for you today. So stay tuned for that. So it's a part of life. Stress is a part of life, but it's stronger than ever, because let me put together some of these things that are compiling in the stress bucket. I mentioned things like work stress, family stress, all of that is there. But you're not factoring in the fact that, like, on every tower outside your home now is a 5G tower. We have extreme stressors from the amount of AI, the artificial intelligence that's in your toaster. Please go back to a normal toaster. All the 5G towers, all of the Wi-Fi. You know, you can stay somewhere like an Airbnb and you pull up your Wi-Fi and there's 65 other Wi-Fis there. So it's not just the one that you're using. If you're in a subdivision or an apartment building, you have everybody else's around you, even if you turn yours off. Bluetooth, everything is Bluetooth. You think that you're doing well because you're not using Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, but then you get in your car. Yeah, maybe you're not using those features, but it's still there. Most cars nowadays are made with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Okay, all of these things are stressors to our nervous system, because if you think of the fact that you don't stand next to a microwave oven whenever you're maybe cooking something, but most microwave ovens put out the same frequency that your cell phone does, and yet you're holding that up to your phone every day. It puts out the same frequency that a Wi-Fi router does, and yet you're sitting in a room with Wi-Fi every day, or a coffee shop with Wi-Fi every day, and you don't think, well, I don't have my head in a microwave oven. You kind of do. And so these are things that we need to think about. We're constantly bombarded with that. Even if you're not a stressed person or life feels kind of in control, your stress bucket is still being compiled with the 65 different Wi-Fis that you're around, the 65 different Bluetooth devices that are going at any given time, the Alexas, the Googles, all of those things we have in our home that somehow we think are going to make life easier. They're not making your health any easier. Okay. On top of that, poor sleep due to light pollution. Okay. Most of us can stay up all night because we can keep Netflix on, we can turn on all the house lights. It used to never be that way. We used to have, do you remember? Okay, when I was growing up, at 10 o'clock at night, the TV, maybe even 9 o'clock when I was really little, the TV would go into that like rainbow screen and there'd be nothing on. Like, you had to go to bed because there wasn't anything to watch. Now, that's not the thing. You can watch it on your phone, your tablet, your computer, your TV, anywhere you want. You can watch something at any given time, and there's billions of things you could watch. So it's not that way anymore. We don't have a cycle of like, this is downtime, this is no device time, and this is daytime where we do things with blue light. We need to create that now, unfortunately, because our system isn't like that. We have to dim our house lights or change our bulbs to where they're anti-blue light bulbs like I have in my house, or use red light at night. Because otherwise, any standard home is going to have just LED or halogen or fluorescent lights that are bombarding our nervous system with it's daylight, it's daylight, it's daylight. So your nervous system never knows when to shut down. So we're going to be talking about why this light piece is a huge part of the consistent practice of helping your nervous system calm down. But blue light alone is one of the strongest pressures that we have on our system. But let's talk about another pressure. How about social media pressure? Never in human history have we had the availability to see what everybody else is doing at any given time, whether it's a celebrity, a family member, a friend that you haven't seen in umpteen million years, to see what they're doing and go, that bothers me. Should I be doing that? I'm not doing that. I feel guilty that I'm not doing that, or I'm not on vacation, or I don't have all those things that they're posting about. We have a lot of pressures on us to perform these lives that, 30 years ago when I was growing up, you only saw what things were happening in magazines or on TV. And the rest of the time you were out doing stuff and you didn't care what other people were doing. If you wanted to see somebody's family vacation pictures, you went to their house for dinner and they showed you their family vacation pictures on a slideshow, and you usually fell asleep during it. So these are things that now we have more pressures on us than ever to be all things, to do all things. For moms, I call it phenomenal. You have to homeschool your kids. You have to take them to all these like games and sports activities and get them involved in everything. And then on top of that, you got to hold a full-time career. You got to raise a family. You got to look right. You got to look lean and fit and everything and join all the clubs in the local area. It's a lot of pressure, specifically on females. The pressures that we're under in human history are now more than ever before. Okay. And we have to do something to combat that. So there's two things that people usually do. There's regulating resources, which is what I'm going to give you today, things that actually reverse the damage on your nervous system, calm you down, get you in a state of rest and digest, or a state of balance where you can go back and forth from, oh, I need a little bit of, the stress hormones to get me through my day, but then I also need to come down at the end of the day and rest and digest. Okay, that's a good balanced nervous system. Then there's the other camp of coping skills. Okay. Coping skills could go kind of both ways. I mean, it's good to have some coping skills, like you get an anxious moment and you do some breath work. That's more of a regulating resource. Okay. So remember those two titles. We've got coping skills and regulating resources. The coping skills I'm talking about are more like acute and people that are using them based on society's pressures. So you have a hard day at work, you come home and have a glass of wine. Not wrong or bad, but if that's what you're using, right, to calm down the nervous system and to come down from the stress of the day, is it really regulating or is it causing further damage? Because alcohol can be a stressor on the system. The liver does not like alcohol whatsoever. So it immediately tries to process it out. And then anything that you're eating along with that, maybe you're having some cheese and crackers, because that's kind of like the wine thing to do, or maybe you're just having a nice dinner. Your body doesn't worry about that. It worries about the alcohol to try to get it out. So maybe it's not helping your nervous system because then you have undigested food that didn't get worked on by the digestive process because the liver was working so hard to get rid of the alcohol. So my point is some of these things that we're using to cope are not necessarily regulating. Okay, things like you get home at the end of the day and you do the doom scroll or whatever, where you're just on your social media, scroll. I got to turn my brain off. I can't think anymore. Is that regulating you or is that coping? Is that just kind of getting you through the moment and what I call numbing out? Are you numbing out or are you actually regulating? That's the point I want you to think about here is the habits that you're doing. Is it actually helping you? Is it harming you? Is it creating more of a vicious cycle? Because no one ever got to the end of their news feed and thought, oh, that was calming. Gosh, I feel so much better. I just feel like I can take on the day now. No, most people will go, oh, I'm exhausted when they get done because now you feel more pressures from those social media outlets that you paid attention to. And maybe you saw someone doing something that you had been wanting to do, and now it put pressure on you to do it. Or maybe it was just like another way to just shut your brain off and not really deal with the stress that you were under, but just kind of turn it off for a while. Just like if you have something burning in the oven, if you just turn it off, it's still in there burnt and it's going to sit in there and it's going to ferment and cause bacteria to grow over time if you don't address it. And that's the same with our nervous system. It only gets worse if we don't address it. If we don't pull it out of the oven and go, listen, I got to do something with this. I got to piece it apart. I got to clean the tray. I got to make sure that my oven is good for next time. Okay, that's what we're going to do today with what's called regulating resources. I wanted to bring up a book that I really love. It's an old book. You guys have probably heard Dr. Pete talk about Hans Selye before, but I really love what he says in here that when it comes to stressors, one of the major sources of distress arises from dissatisfaction with life, okay? Namely, from disrespect for their own accomplishments. So part of another stressor that we're under is not living a life of purpose. And that's something I want you to think about. Pleasure, passion, purpose, what I call vitamin P. That's very important when it comes to regulating the nervous system, but really living on purpose. It's important to see that our duties, our day-to-day, taking care of family, friends, job, as tiresome as that is, if you can find pleasure in that, if you can make that more of a passion that you want to do, and you see it as, I'm going to put all my energy into this in a good way, it becomes something beautiful. It doesn't any longer be this job that you hate that you just go to every day because it pays the bills, okay? You can actually turn a duty into a passion. And so that's something I want you to think about. Think about your accomplishments. Think about the fact that there's things that you have the gifts for, that you have the availability to do, And part of doing that and enjoying it, finding some enjoyment in it, putting your best foot forward will actually help your nervous system. It'll help calm that stress down, because anytime we're living on purpose, we actually feel more joy and we feel more pleasure that we can run with versus more stress and distress. Okay. So this is a really great book. It's no longer in print, but if you can find it, boy, you're going to love this book. Stress Without Distress. So anyway, side note there, I'm always going to promote books because I'm a book reader. Our nervous system is designed to support us through stress. So we need both avenues. We need to have those stress hormones when we need them, and we need to calm down when we're not under stress. Okay. Just like when you see an animal and it gets chased by a predator and it has to stop when it's done and it's no longer chased and it kind of shakes and trembles. That's it regulating its nervous system. It doesn't go and find a plant that causes it to feel drunk and eats it because that wouldn't regulate its nervous system. That's only going to make it worse. So we need to also develop those systems in place to go between that, like, I need a little cortisol to run with, but now it's the end of the day. I need to wind down. I need to be able to release melatonin and get a peaceful night's rest because of the busy day I had. Okay, so that's my goal. And I'm going to take you through these regulating resources using an acronym, SAFETY. Okay, so using the word safety because our brain does have to feel safe. Our nervous system has to feel safe. These are regulating resources you can use to put your body into a state of safety. Okay. No quick fixes here. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to tell you a perfect supplement to take that all of a sudden you're just going to be like even keeled. Although I will say there's a lot of power in magnesium. Magnesium is your calming mineral. Your electrolytes are very calming too. So in an acute case of like you can't seem to calm down, you feel anxious, you have heart palpitations, definitely look towards magnesium. That's just a little side note there that you might want to consider. However, magnesium isn't a cure-all. You're going to have to get these resources in place to calm your nervous system down. So here we go. Remember, though, the one phrase that I want you to remember from this podcast, which is hugely important, is the nervous system holds the key to your healing. Okay. To get nothing else out of this, I want you to start focusing on nervous system regulation with specific regard to breath work, which we're going to get into. Now, before we get into these regulating resources, I want to go through how do you know if your nervous system is malfunctioning or if you're in nervous system dysregulation. Okay, here's just some symptoms that you can be aware of that may be part of what's going to give you the answer to that question. Anxiety, frequently, like if it's more than just once a week, but daily, perhaps, maybe even hourly, maybe you're just trying to get through your day because you have so much anxiety, definitely nervous system dysregulation. Chronic tension. So you go get a massage and they're like, you are rock hard. Okay, we shouldn't be. We should be pliable. Did you know that the nervous system actually can help control the lymphatic system and vice versa? Like if the lymphatic system is not moving, if the fascia is not being opened and stretched and hydrated with proper hydration, we actually go into early onset rigor mortis. Okay, that means you're slowly dying. Your body is kind of tightening up. And the more we tighten up and the more we develop this chronic tension, we're getting a little closer to death here. Okay. So it's important that you regulate your nervous system and vice versa. It's important that you take care of your lymphatic system and your fascia and make sure you're properly hydrated so that the water system of your body is actually moving and you're not going into some sort of really deep chronic muscular and fascia tension. Okay, we'll touch on that a little bit later. Headaches and migraines frequently. I hear a lot of clients that are like, oh, I had another migraine today. Gosh, like if you're having daily migraines, that is a note from your body that I am not okay and I don't need Imitrex. I don't have an Imitrex deficiency or whatever the medications are that are out there. You don't have a medical deficiency. What you have is your body is actually a migraine. For those of you that aren't aware, is when you're under tension and the body is under tension, it's just running on all cylinders. Most people will get a migraine after the event is over or after the stressful day, or maybe even in the midst of a stressful day, you might just start to develop one. But what it is the squeezing of the brain to get the fluids out that have contaminated the tissue. This migraine is squeezing the brain. And that's the feeling of like, you feel like your brain is in a vice grip or a bad headache. You'll hear people say, I felt like my head was being held in a vice grip and being squeezed. That's actually what they're feeling, is because the brain is squeezing to get out that toxic fluid that built up in the brain. It's a little bit of like your brain was bloated, and then the effects of it were the headache or the migraine. So that's just a small piece of the body trying to heal itself, but in the process, it doesn't feel very good. We need to get to a state where the body doesn't take on that fluid in the brain, and then it doesn't have to do the squeezing. Okay, so that's what regulating your nervous system is all about. Overwhelm, irritation. If I hear people say, I just feel overwhelmed, that's nervous system dysregulation. If they feel chronically irritated, like everything irritates them, that's nervous system dysregulation. Wired but tired. You can get through your day, but if you stop for maybe 15 minutes, you almost fall asleep. I equate this to people who get in a car and maybe they're driving somewhere or they're riding with somebody, and all of a sudden this is the first time today they've sat down and they could literally go to sleep. Okay, that's nervous system dysregulation. Inability to sleep. Maybe you're wired but tired, but then you lay down at night and you're like, doo, 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 why can't I go to sleep? Okay, that's nervous system dysregulation. Your body should have the systems in place for, I'm awake. Now it's wind down time. I need to go to sleep. Okay, you should be able to go back and forth between those two if you have a balanced nervous system. An interesting one is also that people can't stay asleep. Maybe they have no trouble going to sleep because they're exhausted. They're in that state of exhaustion. But then they wake up at 1, 2, 3 a.m. and they're like, I cannot go back to sleep. I might as well get up, or it takes them an hour and a half or more to go back to sleep. And then when they go back to sleep, they can't seem to wake up. They're groggy upon waking. All of that so your cortisol is out of rhythm. And that means your nervous system is out of rhythm. Okay. Feeling of impending doom. I've heard people say, I just feel like something's going to happen. That's not normal human biology. Like when we're doing well, when we're in a pleasure state, when we're not stressed, when our nervous system is right on, we don't have a sense of impending doom. So if that's happening for you, that can actually be a mineral deficiency that is also giving you this sense of impending doom through the nervous system not having the raw materials that it needs. Other things are like intrusive thoughts, thoughts about hurting yourself. That can be due to a mismatched nervous system or nervous system dysregulation. Chronic fatigue, if you're tired all the time, you are not putting out the hormones to keep you up and up during the day. Exhaustion, adrenal stress, adrenal issues. Like if you've been told that your adrenals aren't functioning well, or you get a hair tissue mineral test and it's telling you that your adrenals are wonky, okay, that's your clue right there that there's dysregulation in the nervous system. Hormonal issues, low sex hormones, low libido, things like that, all indicative of nervous system malfunction, because anytime your cortisol's high or chronically low, guess what is also going to take a backseat? Your sex hormones. Like if cortisol's in the front seat, everything else is in the back seat. If cortisol is low, generally you got to the point where cortisol was high at one point, all your sex hormones went low. Now it's low along with the sex hormones. So generally that's what I see. It's one or the other. They've got high cortisol, low sex hormones, low cortisol, low sex hormones. Okay, you're not going to see a balance of higher hormones now that the cortisol is low, unfortunately. And that's another indication is if you get a blood serum test done or a hair tissue test or any sort of test, a Dutch test, and you get your cortisol test ran of any kind, and you see that it's elevated or very, very low, that's an indication of nervous system dysregulation. Racing heart at night, heart palpitations during the day or night, gut issues, IBS, bloating, constipation, diarrhea. If you've got, the chronic irritable bowel, that's basically what it is. Your nervous system is dysregulated, so your bowel is irritated by everything. It's not in a state of relaxation. It's in a state of stress. So if your gut's under stress, chances are you are too. All right. And I love to go by German New Medicine, where it says if you're bloated in life, a lot of times you'll feel that in your abdomen. Your body will manifest the same issue that's kind of going on in your life in your body. So all of a sudden your life is bloated. You got so much going on. You got so many irons in the fire and your gut's bloated. So you have all these bloating symptoms. And you're like, why am I so bloated? I tried all these supplements. It's not working. And I've tried changing my diet. Nothing's working. Well, it's not your gut. It's not what you're eating. I mean, it is your gut, but it's not what you're eating. It's your nervous system. And you got to calm it down. Okay. Other things are chronic pain. inflammation, fibromyalgia. Okay, these are all your body saying, I'm not okay. I'm under stress. And now you're going to feel it versus just knowing it, right? Your body's giving you symptoms to go by to say, tink, 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 not okay. I need help. Need for sunglasses. This is an interesting one, or sensitive to light. Sometimes with clients that I meet in person, I will use a light to check their eyes, to check to see how their pupils dilate. So if I shine a light in their eyes and their pupils go woo, 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 and then they stay open, that's an adrenal issue because the pupil can't constrict to calm the amount of light that's coming in. And those are the people that will need sunglasses, or they're like, oh, I can't do bright light. Okay, so we should be able to go outside without sunglasses. Look at all the animals in the world. They don't need sunglasses. It's because they regulate their nervous system. Okay, so, and sunglasses are a whole nother topic that we'll get into on how it actually dysregulates your skin, your melanin production. It causes issues in your body. If you want to get a really bad sunburn, wear sunglasses because it tricks your skin. Your eyes are telling your skin, oh, don't release anything to protect from sun damage because it's dark out. Okay, whole nother subject, but sunglasses are definitely not needed when you get your nervous system under control too. All right, and then finally, weight gain and the inability to lose weight. Okay, so if you are stuck in fight or flight, if you're stuck in freeze, if you're in exhaustion, those are three different phases that affect how you're going to want to exercise, how you're going to want to eat, and more importantly, how your body responds to what you're trying to do. Maybe you're eating carnivore, or keto, or low carb, or whatever to try to get the weight off, and nothing's moving because your body has now released some lipids that are actually toxic to the cell and creates lipotoxicity. It creates weight loss resistance. It creates cellular resistance. It creates insulin resistance because the more you're producing cortisol from your body in response to stress, that cortisol breaks down delicate muscle tissue, leading to it's as if you're making a donut out of your body and you're not even eating one. So you don't even get the satisfaction of it. So you're pretty much making your own sugar, and your body's utilizing that or storing that in the event that, there's a famine because it's under stress. And so you're not seeing the results you're looking for, and yet you feel like you're doing all the right things. This is classic adrenal issues, classic nervous system dysregulation. All this to say, these are some things to be aware of as we want to address them as soon as possible, because when the body gets to that last phase of exhaustion, that's when dis-ease can also set in. So this is where we see people developing autoimmune issues. This is where we see people developing things more like a prevalent case of cancer. We don't want to get there. Okay, so if we have the availability and the energy right now to put some systems in place, some regulating resources to calm your nervous system, that's what we want to do. All right, so we're going to start with our acronym SAFETY. Okay, and I'm going to break this. The cliff notes of this are support, action, freedom, enjoyment, time, and yielding. So we're going to break all these down, but that's the acronym for safety. Safety being the key word, let's start with S as the first regulating resource for your nervous system. We are going to get your nervous system under control, so fear no more. Support is what S stands for, both from ourselves and others. We need to ask for it. And I know a lot of you ladies out there, you want to do all the things and you don't want to ask for help, and you feel like you feel guilty if you ask for help. This is the time when your nervous system is no longer functioning properly and you're feeling the effects of what we just talked about, all those different systems or symptoms, excuse me. It's time to ask for help, okay? Whether that's from your spouse and saying, I need your help here with the kids, I got to have more time to rest, or I need to implement these other habits. I put support first because this is the very first thing you want to do. If you're changing your nutrition, if you're changing your lifestyle at all from being go, 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 busy, 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 this is where you want to start first because you want to elicit the support to be able to make the changes necessary. All right, so self-regulation happens through self-care practices such as breathing, calming movements, and first, calming, supportive, loving people you can ask for help from and be safe and vulnerable with. Vulnerable is a big word. Like that's something that I myself have to work on a lot. I find that a lot of therapists, myself included, we struggle with vulnerability. We struggle with telling people, I'm not okay, or I need help, or can you do this for me? We feel like, oh, I don't want to put a burden on them, and I should know what I'm doing because I'm a therapist or I'm a nutritionist or I'm a trainer. Like I shouldn't have any issues, so I'm not going to ask for help because then I'm weak, right? We associate vulnerable with weak. It's not. Vulnerability is a strength, the ability to ask for help. And the people that do that to you, I want you to think about them. When people ask you for help, do you see them as weak? No, you immediately go into your own thoughts of, I want to help them. Yes, I want to be helpful. I would love to help that individual. You don't at all go, what a loser. They're so weak. So we need to stop thinking that vulnerability is a weakness. It's actually a strength to be able to be real with people and relate to them and say, you struggle, I struggle too. Here's what I'm dealing with. Could you help me with it at any point in time? Could you just, listen to me, or could you watch my kids, or could you, take me on a walk because I got to get more active? Okay. These are all things that we need to elicit the support necessary as a regulating resource to get through the first process of our nervous system under control. And that is going, okay, I'm safe. I'm okay. I have people in my corner who are willing to help me through this. Okay, so support. Number one, I want you to write down 3 people that could support you as you start to regulate and heal. All right, who are the top 3 people you can ask for help from that are safe, that you feel comfortable being vulnerable with? And that also, without a doubt, they would do anything for you. We all have at least 3 of those people. So figure out who that is and write that down. And don't be afraid to start asking. All right. Acronym SAFETY has the word A in it. That's the next word we're going to is action. Okay. You got to take action. Now that you've elicited support, it's time to take action. These are the regulating nervous system, the regulating resource for your nervous system has to have some actions in place. And this means creating rhythms, okay, that stimulate healing in your body. The body loves rhythms. And the first one I'm going to go to is breath work. Okay, so if you haven't done my 21-day challenge yet, it's something you can start anytime. It's on my YouTube channel, and it's 21 days of different styles of breath work that you can pick one. You can go through the 21 days and go, you know what, that day 13, I like that one. That one was good. I'm going to do that every day. Getting that in place, taking action and going, okay, listen, I need support from you. Will you watch the baby while I do my 5-minute breath work today? That's it. You're just taking 5 minutes to start a breath work practice. But the key is consistency. I want you doing it every day because that's the system you're putting in place. That's the rhythm you're putting in place for the nervous system, for your circadian rhythm. Okay. Other rhythms, it's not just breath work, is what I just said, the word circadian, meaning you need to have a day activity and a night activity. What are you doing to stay energized through the day? Drinking coffee? Not wrong or bad, but that's not what you want to rely on. What kind of movement could you get in that would stimulate your nervous system to keep you producing just the right amount of cortisol through the day? Maybe some lymphatic work where you're doing that, the 6 areas of lymphatic drainage, so that your body's moving toxins and parasites and pathogens out daily. Okay, that's a form of movement. Breath work is also a form of movement. Walking is a form of movement. We need a daytime movement activity that's a rhythm in our day that we do every day to stimulate that nervous system upregulation to where you're getting the energy you need to get through your day. Then we need the circadian rhythm of dialing down the light at night, pretty much getting your light right, getting out in the day for that sunlight walk, and then at night dimming all the lights, getting off devices, reading maybe a real book, for instance, or listening to something that you've downloaded that's not on Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, that you don't have a screen that you're looking at, okay? Or just sitting and being present. That's a whole nother subject that is such a good regulating resource if we would get into the habit of being able to sit with our thoughts again. People are afraid of this, and they always have to have some sort of chatter, whether it's the news or a podcast or something going. We don't need that. Think about way back in 100 years ago where they didn't have radio, they didn't have television or anything, and they had to kind of sit with their thoughts. I would venture to say that these individuals were much healthier than we are today because we can't sit with our own mental chatter. Okay, so these rhythms of like, this is day, I do these things in the day to upregulate my nervous system, and I do these things at night to downregulate my nervous system to put me into rest or digest. What would that look like for you? What's the time of day you can set an electronic curfew? What are you going to do right when the sun sets and your house is still bright blue lights all over? Can you change the lighting? Can you put on some blue light blocking glasses? I'll have a link in the notes below for Swanwick, who has anti-blue lights. They have night lights. They have house lights that you can have on, put a bulb in your lamp and change the light to where you can have it on at night. And you put on your little blue light blocking glasses. Maybe your spouse doesn't want to not watch TV, so you're still watching TV, but you're doing it in a way that supports your nervous system rather than amps it up. Okay. So these rhythms of like, I do this movement during the day and I do this wind down at night. I do this breath work at a certain time of day. I do this, sleep routine every night, just like you would for a baby to let the body know we're going to rest now. We're not going straight from Facebook Marketplace to laying down in bed. And I know you're giggling at that because I know a lot of people do that. They wind down with Facebook Marketplace and then they lay in bed and go, I don't know why I can't go to sleep. Well, there's a reason for that. That much blue light and that much stimulation of like being in a shopping mall, basically, and then trying to lay down. Good luck with that. Okay, so self-care rhythms. Other things are like tapping. Have you heard of EFT, emotional freedom technique tapping? That's a great way to process things that happen through the day. Like, so and so said this to me. I didn't like it. It made me mad. I felt really upset that they would say that to me. Why do they think that? And you go through all these little tapping modalities. And then shortly thereafter, you actually process through your thoughts about that matter instead of, drinking a shot of whiskey to not think about it. Again, let's keep the burnt dish in the oven and see what happens versus taking it out, throwing it away, cleaning the dish, getting the oven ready for the next day. Okay. Binaural beats, that's another one. Listening to some sort of like delta sleep waves to go to sleep at night, or using like a frequency of 432 hertz to calm down your nervous system. All of these are really great things you can do to down regulate and to get that rhythm in place. But the rhythm involves consistency. So whatever you're about to take action with this step and do, I want you to keep consistency with it. So that's the A in safety. Here we go with the F in safety, which is freedom. Okay. Freedom involves the freedom to make small changes, to put yourself as a priority, to say no. A lot of you are like, no, I can't say no. Like, that's going to hurt people's feelings. And I'm a people pleaser by nature. Preaching to the choir. I already know that. Like, I already did that. But I still have to say no for my own sanity sometimes. And I don't feel guilty about it anymore. Part of saying no is also that vulnerability of going, no, I need to take time for myself, but thank you for asking. Setting boundaries and saying, I'll go this far for you, but I'm not going to go that far because that affects my health. All right. That's freedom. And to not be on all the time, to ask for help, to try something new, to turn off notifications, to shut your phone off and leave it in a drawer for 3 or 4 hours. And if you have to, tell people, hey, I'm not going to have my phone on. If you need me, you have to call so-and-so because I'm taking a break from all devices for a while. All right, ideas. So setting boundaries with work texts and calls and emails and say, you know what? I'll take work text and calls and emails from the hours of 9 to 5. After that, if you text me or email or call, I won't respond. So that's my boundary. How about setting boundaries with housework and saying, you know what? I'm going to go to bed and the dishes are not done. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to die tonight. So I think it's going to be okay if there's still dishes in the sink. Maybe I would actually do better if I lay down in bed and just listen to my favorite song and help my body decompress from the day. Okay. Trying a new class. Not selling yourself short and saying, I might be capable of more than I'm doing. And I've always wanted to try Zumba. Maybe I'm going to try that. Or maybe I'm going to try a drum circle. Or maybe I'm going to, fill in the blank, whatever, play pickleball. But you're going to try something you never tried before, to say to yourself, I don't have boundaries within myself. I have the freedom to make new choices and to try something new that might bring me an element of regulation with pleasure in my nervous system. Okay. A hobby, a workout, whatever that would be. A device-free day or a work day. I will sometimes use my on my phone. If I want a whole day without my phone, I'll put on the drive setting and you can send an automatic text that when it says like somebody texts you, it'll go, I don't have my phone on today, so you won't get a response today, but you'll get one tomorrow. Thanks for understanding. And that way I can have the phone off and they will know that I'm not ignoring them or whatever. It just sends an automatic text. But it's for some weird reason, I can only do it in the drive feature, like I'm driving or something. So that's a really good thing to do, because sometimes as people pleasers, we're worried about, oh, well, what if I don't get back to them and they're going to get upset with me? Okay, well, that frees you up. You have the freedom now of doing what you want to do without a phone in your hand, without the little rectangle everywhere you go. Go hiking, go walking, go sit by a pool, whatever you want to do. And don't worry about it, because your phone is responding to them as they send texts, and they know you're not ignoring them. They know you are setting a boundary and saying, I need a day off. Boundaries for yourself, electronic curfew, like I mentioned with the rhythms, like setting a rhythm every night of, okay, I can play on my phone till 8:30, but at 8:30, phone is off. I go to bed at 9:30. So it gives me an hour to do something. Sky's the limit of what you could do in an hour before bed. Maybe try something new. Maybe do some coloring, read a book. Okay. All of these things are available to you now that you have this hour of time without a device. And it's an amazing feeling when you're not responding and looking up things and always glued to this little rectangle. Saying no, even just once. Somebody invites you to do something, you're like, I don't want to do it. I'm going to say no. I'm going to see what happens. And just say, no, I don't want to. Or, no, thank you, but thanks for asking. Do you have to give a response? I had to learn this too. Do I have to say, oh, here's why I can't, just to make them feel better? No, you can just say, no, thank you. And you don't have to have a reason. Okay. We are entitled to our feelings. How about not cleaning the kitchen, but instead having a night where somebody else does it, asking for help, freedom to ask for help, freedom to be uncertain, unfinished, unkempt, imperfect, spontaneous, without judgment. I wonder what it would feel like if I didn't plan anything on Saturday and just see where the day takes me. Okay. This is really good for regulating our nervous system, just the ability to try something new and step out of your comfort zone a little bit. Now, if it stresses you out, that's not going to help regulate, but it has to be something that excites you or brings you joy, or that you're wondering, ooh, I think that might actually help me if I like change my routine a little bit. So we can teach our nervous system safety, even with unfinished work, by setting aside the word failure. If I don't finish this, I'm a failure today. If I don't cross off all my to-do list, I'm a failure today. Okay, let go of that, right? Set that aside. Judgments about yourself, saying, instead, what's the worst that could happen? I don't get the dishes done. Like I said, they're not going anywhere. I'm not going to die in my sleep if I don't do the dishes. If I didn't cross off everything on my list, it's not going anywhere. It's still going to be there tomorrow. Okay. Stretching your comfort zone stretches our nervous system to start to relax into resiliency. I'm resilient. I don't have to have a perfect kitchen every day. It can be okay just sitting there, and I'm still okay. All right. So that's the aspect of freedom. Next is the E, which is enjoyment. What is your vitamin P? Pleasure, passion, purpose, playtime. Mine is paddleboarding. Okay. I love going on the water. That's water therapy for me. That's my vitamin P. Maybe even coloring with my daughter. How about being in the kitchen chopping up something? Like, I like to just like get lost in the food and touch food and get grounded. That's really nice for me. My main thing is sitting in the sun, just doing nothing, just being in the sunshine brings me so much pleasure. So I really thrive on sitting on the grass in the sun, or by water in the sun. That's huge for me. That's a nervous system regulator like no other. But what about you? What allows you to find peace, to have joy? Not numbing out. It's not your favorite episode on Netflix right now. That is numbing out. That's turning off the brain. That's not being present in the moment and going, this is what I needed. This is rebooting my system. This is making me better. I'm sorry, there's not an episode of anything on Netflix that's going to make you better. Okay. It's going to numb you out. It's going to just be a temporary band-aid to your whatever your nervous system issue is. So what I want you to do is I want you to write down what your ideal day looks like that you would enjoy doing that does not involve any devices. Okay. Any computers, laptops, tablets, smartphones, anything that's hooked to Alexa or Google or Bluetooth or whatever. What's your ideal day in nature? I will say that because we are going to be much healthier in our nervous system the more we're outside. We've also become this indoor nation that's not getting enough sunlight, that's not getting enough of the bright light from the sun that's full spectrum. We're getting a lot of artificial blue light, which is wrecking our nervous system. And we're not getting enough red light from the sun, that infrared that's so healing. So what's your ideal day? I want you to write it down from start to finish. You wake up, you have a cup of coffee. What are you going to do? What brings you pleasure? What would your perfect day look like? So for example, mine would be I have a cup of coffee while I'm getting my paddleboard wrapped up to go on the water. And I'm in Maui and I'm paddling next to whales and I hear them singing under the water. Big day. And then I'd end it like laying in the sand on the beach watching the sunset with some sort of sparkly water. Okay. So just those kind of details, just thinking about that calms your nervous system down. But actually finding a way to make something idyllic to where you could actually implement that not only is a dopamine hit for your brain, but also is going to calm your nervous system because any sort of peace, pleasure, joy, enjoyment of life, that E is so essential to calming stress. We need enjoyment. We need to enjoy the fruits of our labors. So, what needs to happen for you to experience this day? All right. For me, obviously, I might have to go to Maui, but I do frequently plan trips to Hawaii for that reason during whale season. So that's not uncommon for me. So make it feasible. I mean, don't say like, I want to be on a hut in Bora Bora on top of the water. That's great, but will you actually go do that? Because I want you to write down something that you would experience in your real time right now. Okay. That in the next few months or 6 months you could go and do. But maybe it's something as simple as, I just want to sit outside on my patio with my nice patio furniture and lounge in the sun and read this book I've had on my shelf forever that I haven't got to yet. That's you could totally do that. So what's it going to take to do that? Can you plan it? Can you schedule yourself in? You schedule everybody else in. So I want you to schedule it in. Enjoyment equals energy. Remember that formula. So E is also for engage. Engage in a relationship that balances you out. So perhaps that perfect day involves somebody that really balances you out, that gives you energy because when you engage with them, they give off this really great vibe that you're just like, man, I just feel better when I'm around you. Okay, so what step could lead you towards this enjoyment? What things are going to be part of that idealistic day that's going to bring you energy when you're done with that day? And I want you to really experience that day. So write it down. Next step is scheduling it in. And the third step is experiencing it. And then I want you to tell me what you find. Okay. S.A.F.E., we're now to the T in safety, which is time. Give it time. When it comes to healing your nervous system, give it time. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to need to put these processes in place. You're going to have to start to create these rhythms. You're going to have to start to implement some sort of breath work and find that support daily of those 3 people that support you the most. And then give it time, not a week, not 2 weeks, not 21 days. You're going to have to give it more time. Okay. Sometimes the nervous system requires 6 months to a year. In my case of like reversing my toxic mold exposure, it took me 17 months to get back to a normal state of feeling like I wasn't, like my nervous system wasn't on edge and I was reacting to everything. Okay. So be patient, stay with the process, implement things that are going to benefit you. And you know that inherently we know what's going to benefit us. We just need to take the time to do it. And that's the time piece, is give it time. Be timely in your consistency. So set that time of day where you get that same thing going. I get up in the morning, I go outside. First thing I do after I get myself dressed and ready, I drink water, I go outside. It might be that I'm getting in my cold tub. It might be that I'm going for a walk. It might be that I'm doing some sort of stretching or fascia or lymphatic work or whatever it is. I got to be moving in the morning. So it's some sort of movement. Okay. And there's always breath work in there. There's always prayer in there. There's always some sort of spiritual routine. Okay. So get into a rhythm and create that time for yourself of whatever time of day it is, first part of the day, middle part of the day, last part of the day, whatever it is, where you can be consistent, because that's the key, is consistency. Create a time schedule for your self-regulation. All right, finally, Y is yield to the journey. That means slow down, embrace newness, make and hold space for yourself. Okay, the time piece needs the like slowness, the yielding, the ability to say to yourself, okay, I'm going to give myself 6 months to do this. Part of nervous system work for many people who are over training. So somebody like myself who like I can get really into exercise and I can over exercise and I can do way too much. I have to dial it back sometimes and go, okay, for the next 6 months, you're going to have to calm yourself down and just do like yoga and Pilates and not this heavy lifting and not this strenuous running every day. Maybe you're just going to be walking for the next 6 months. And I have clients where I'll have to take them down from the high of overactivity and bring their nervous system under control by dialing back the workouts. So this is something that you really want to think about. Maybe looking to see, are you one of those people who's doing too much, who's putting too much energy into your body or your life, and you're not yielding to the fact that you need to slow down? Okay. Journal so you can see your progress, but also write down where you're like, I'm out of balance in this area, and staying in the rat race. How's that working for you? The hideous rat race. That was, I read my mom's journal one time after she had died, and she alluded to the fact that she couldn't get out of the hideous, she used the word hideous rat race she was in. My mom died from stomach cancer. Her nervous system was so screwed up, man. That woman wouldn't go to bed till 3 in the morning, and she'd get up at 5 and work at the hospital. She'd get 2 hours of sleep a night, and she wondered why she got stomach cancer. She wouldn't share her emotions. She would never cry. She would never slow down. She was go, 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 balls to the wall all the time, doing all the things for everybody else and nothing for her. And when she did do stuff for her, it was an MS 150, like a 150-mile bike ride that she would sign up for. It wasn't something that calmed her nervous system down. And this is what happens to people is they put themselves in a state of dis-ease because they're not yielding, they're not calming down, they're not regulating their nervous system. So this yielding is very important. Have a home day. Actually, once a week, I like to have a day where I'm just at home. I'm just piddling around, doing the little mom things that you do of laundry and cleaning and homeschooling and whatever. Like just kind of a down day where you're not having to go, go, go. We got all these errands to go run, and we got to go to all these different businesses, and we got to do all these different things. No, home day. If you want to stay in your jammies all day, cool. That's great. If your nervous system requires that, go for it. Have a nature day, a nourish day. Go in nature and spend hours in the woods. Sometimes I'll go hiking and I won't take my phone. Of course, I hardly ever take my phone, but I mean, I'll go out there and I lose track of time. I don't have a watch on me. I don't have a phone. My girlfriend and I just go and chit chat, and we'll get back and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 4:30. I got to go home and cook dinner. But I've lost track of time because you get lost in the woods. Sometimes it just feels good to get lost. Have some nothing moments. Like, how many times have you sat and just watched the clouds go by? I say this a lot in my podcast. Lay on a blanket, watch the clouds go by. We did it as a kid, but we don't do it anymore. Why? Like, it's so beneficial. And that's why we don't do it, is we don't think it's beneficial. But sometimes doing nothing is better than doing everything. Okay. So because what it does is it tells your body, time to wind down. I'm okay. I'm safe. You don't have to be on the go. I don't have to feel this anxious feeling of like, I got to get all the things done. You are doing. By undoing, you're actually doing, because your body goes, oh, I'm finally in a space where I can decompress. Okay, daydream, ponder, look up, like watch the world and see what happens. Go out in the early morning hours and look at the stars. I did that this morning. I was sitting in my cold tub, like looking at all the constellations and watching the little, movements in the sky of maybe an airplane or a satellite or whatever it was. But just to be present with that and not have to go, oh, I got to do this, that, and the other. I got to check all my messages. I got to get up and email everyone. No, you don't have to do that. You can actually just daydream and ponder. I used to be really good at daydreaming when I was in school, so I'm trying to get better at it again. That's the why. So there it is, safety. There's S as in support, A for action, F for freedom, E for enjoyment, T is for time, Y is for yielding. Now, to wrap up, I'm going to give you a few other things that are going to be really important to your nervous system regulation journey. Okay. And these are just some regulating resources that are not coping skills, but are actually hard and fast things. Sometimes you can put tangible hands on, like I mentioned, the magnesium. That's a great mineral for calming your nervous system. Anti-inflammatory foods. So anytime we're eating things that are inflaming the body, that's going to amp up our nervous system and dysregulate it even more. So making sure you're eliminating things like gluten, dairy, nuts and seeds, and you're focusing on foods that turn over new healthy cells. The proteins, meat-based, always going to be healing. And even things like fruits that have a lot of enzymes in them that break down a lot of inflammation in your body. If that's on your meal plan, go for it. Sunlight is huge. I will always talk to you guys about the power of the sun to calm you, to give your body what it needs, to give you energy. We actually have a small amount of photosynthesis that happens when we're in the sun, just like plants. We can't rely fully on photosynthesis, but a little bit we can. And actually, that melanin, you're not just getting a tan. This is actually energy that your body can eventually use, which is why you lose your tan. And you can actually see a difference in your energy level by the more sun you get. So sun equals energy, right? Grounding also equals energy. You're getting free electrons from the earth. Okay, so try to make sure you're barefoot and grounding at least once a day. Rest and sleep. Schedule in that rhythm of I go to bed at 9:30 or I go to bed at 10 o'clock and I wake up at this hour. Eventually, when you get your rhythms right, your day rhythm and your night rhythm, you won't need an alarm clock. Your body, I wake up naturally every day at like 5:15. My body's like, I'm awake and it's time to start my day. But that's because I go to bed at like 8:45. So if you can set that rhythm, you can also create the rhythms in your body that naturally just happen. You don't need, I haven't used an alarm clock in years because I don't need that. Protein, the building blocks of every cell in your body. I will preach protein till the day I die, right along with sunshine. So make sure you're getting sunshine, maybe even eat your protein in the sunshine, okay? Reduced Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, EMF, we kind of discussed that, how that's a stressor on our nervous system. So we need to make sure that we're eliminating all the sources of that when they're not needed. When you're going to bed at night, if you want to sleep better, turn off your Wi-Fi, turn off your Alexa, turn off all the Bluetooth devices. Even things like unplugging your television. If I have my television on, which is rare, I unplug it at night because it's a smart TV. So it's probably searching for some sort of signals at night, even though we don't have Wi-Fi or anything. And so that is essential to making sure that anything that connects to Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, you want to unplug that because otherwise it's always searching. Even my dumb smoker has a Wi-Fi feature on it. Like, why does a smoker need a Wi-Fi feature? Like, I just want to smoke my meat. I don't need to check the weather forecast. But anyway, unplug that when you're not using it. I mentioned magnesiums, and in some cases, testosterone and progesterone. So you need to get your hormone levels tested. And if you're rock bottom on testosterone, I cannot tell you how good you will feel if you either, try to get it up naturally, talk to someone like myself, a nutritionist, to get it up naturally, which is very hard to do, I'll tell you. So you have to be very proactive. Or consider bioidentical testosterone, which does so much good when somebody does it right. And that's a whole nother topic of conversation. You need to work with a licensed practitioner to get that, but you also need to work with someone like myself, a nutrition therapist, who can make sure you're getting the raw materials, that the testosterone that you're taking in is actually being utilized by the body properly and not being kicked out or being stored or being filtered around and grabbed on by your sex hormone binding globulin and not used up. Okay. So these can be very powerful if they're done right. Progesterone, same thing. Progesterone is your calming, happy hormone. So when it's done right, it can be very nourishing to an overstressed, overtaxed nervous system. So this is something you want to work with a practitioner to get under control. Rhythms, routines we talked about, but the 3 M's are something I love to share with people. It's something I give to my clients a lot to remind them of. There's 3 things that you can do to make sure that you're going to get your nervous system regulated. Morning sunlight, that's M number 1. Maximize your sunlight through the day and minimize blue light at night. That means you start the day with sunlight. You get as much sun breaks in your day. If you work in an office, you don't take a smoke break. You go outside for a sun break, or you take walks in the sun after each meal to not only balance your glucose, but to also get some sun on your life. You work outside. If it wasn't 40-mile-an-hour winds outside right now, I would be outside on my patio table recording this because I love to work outside on my computer when I need to record something versus inside. So making sure that you're actually getting the maximum amount of sunlight in your day can go a long way in regulating the nervous system. But then as soon as that sun sets, minimizing all sources of light at night, blue light, other than like maybe some red light or some anti-blue light bulbs, some candles or something, you want all the light off at night. And that will do such a service. If you do nothing else from this list, do that for your nervous system and tell me if that doesn't help to some degree, okay? Red light therapy is huge. I love to implement red light therapy first thing in the morning when the sun hasn't come up yet, and then also at night. And sometimes through the day, if it's rainy or something and I can't get sunlight, I'll put my red light lamp on, and that really helps boost my morale and keep my energy high because my mood is definitely sun-based. So if I'm not getting enough sun, I'm going to go down. But red light helps me stay more even keeled. Salt rooms, float tanks, these are places you can go and visit that will offer you some calming magnesium salt baths or a salt room where you go and you breathe in all of the electrolytes and the minerals from salt. Float tanks, these theropods are things that you can soak in and get a lot of magnesium soaked right into your body, so they can be really great for your nervous system. Water therapy in general is huge for me. That's why I love paddleboarding, but swimming, going to a local pool and getting grounded in water, or an ocean, if you have the availability to go, is huge because it's mineral loaded. And so you're soaking up those good sea minerals when you're in the ocean, or even just walking by the ocean. All of that is great for your nervous system. That's why you feel so good when you're on a beach anyway. It's because your nervous system is calming down. You're getting the negative ions from the ocean that calms your nervous system. And then hydration with minerals. Don't just drink plain water. You've got to put the minerals back in, because all of these devices, all of this Wi-Fi and Bluetooth is dehydrating us throughout the day. And we need now more than ever hydration, and you're going to get proper hydration with minerals. So coconut water, adding minerals to your water, doing a Soleil water, whatever it means for you, however you like to get your minerals in, it's very important to do that. And maybe even a drop of iodine every now and then if you're not by the sea and you need a little bit more energy boost to the thyroid would be beneficial in your water. But going back to that microwave analogy, so if we're bombarded with all these different Wi-Fis and things like that, and it's the same frequency as a microwave oven, think about when you put a piece of meat in the oven, you're trying to reheat your steak in the microwave oven, and it like gets all nasty and like kind of looks wrinkly and disheveled. That's you in all of this chronic Wi-Fi life that we're in, okay? Which means we need to hydrate more because we're constantly being dehydrated by all of this radiation. So think about that. And then finally, for those of you who are over exercisers like myself, avoid overtraining. Find movement that you enjoy, that kind of gets your sillies out, I call it. I have to get up in the morning and get my sillies out. I got to go for a walk. I got to do yoga. I got to do Pilates or bar or something. But it's a gentle movement. It's not this high intensity interval training. It's not sprinting. It's not long endurance, 10-mile long runs every day. It's not heavy duty lifting every day. It's something calming to your nervous system. And it could be as small as gardening. It could be as fun as dancing. Find some sort of movement that you enjoy that's not overtraining, but still allows you to get your sillies out. And that will calm your nervous system down as well. Again, I touched a little bit on lymphatic drainage too. Make sure that you're doing that daily, because your lymphatic system is also attached to your nervous system and vice versa. So if it's all pent up and stressed and full of toxins and not moving, then your nervous system is going to be very dysregulated. So a really good thing to do is just start the day every day with those 6 areas. You've got your collarbone right behind the jawbone, right underneath the armpits. You've got your abdomen right below the sternum and right above the navel. The gutters, I call them, which is your hip creases, and then also right behind the calves, or right behind the knees where your calves insert into the knees. Okay, those 6 spots, if you'll just rub those for about 30 seconds and activate them, those are channels that get clogged. And when you unclog that, the fluid can move freely through your body. It helps create better lubricated fascia, which helps you move better and feel better and not be as chronically tight, so your nervous system can calm down. So make sure you're incorporating that daily as well. Okay, this has been a very long podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you got some nuggets that you can take and move forward with and be consistent with when it comes to regulating your nervous system, and take these regulating resources and replace them with whatever coping skills you're doing that are really just numbing you out. Okay, get rid of those and replace them with whatever regulating resources you found helpful today. I encourage you to share with me your experience as you move forward. And if you'd like to work with me, I actually love to customize nervous system regulation to where somebody's at in their life, the things they love to do. I like to build a customized protocol with them as we discuss their situation and make sure we're addressing that nervous system that fits their lifestyle. So if you're looking for a little bit more, contact me. I'm one of the only nutritionists I know that work with people on a pay what you want scale, which means when you meet with me, you decide how much my time is worth to you. So that way there is no cost involved that makes you say, well, I can't really afford nutrition consulting, so I guess I'll save it for down the road. No, you get to decide what you pay me. You get to decide how much time you want to spend with me. If you want 30 minutes, an hour, whatever that is, you decide how much my time is worth, and that's where we go. So reach out to me, getfitwithjodelle@gmail.com, or you can visit my website, meetbodyandsoul.com, and you can even click on 15-minute free discovery call that you can sign up for through my little calendar. So you can find a time that works for you, and we'll discuss how I can assist you. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you regulate your nervous systems well and reach out if you need any support. Remember, that's the S in safety. Okay, bye for now.